In 2021, Lisa, a 27-year-old elementary school teacher, was settling into her new life in Chicago. Her apartment, a cozy third-floor unit in a quiet Lincoln Park building, felt like a fresh start after a tough year. The neighborhood was vibrant, with tree-lined streets and bustling cafes, but something about her building felt off. The hallways were dimly lit, and the old elevator creaked ominously. Still, Lisa brushed it off, focusing on her new job. It started innocently enough. One chilly October evening, as Lisa closed her curtains, she noticed a man standing across the street under a flickering. He was tall, wearing a dark coat, and staring directly at her window. She figured he was just waiting for someone, but the next evening, he was there again, leaning against the same lamppost, his eyes locked on her building. A chill ran down her spine, but she told herself it was a coincidence. Days later, Lisa spotted him at her favorite coffee shop, a cozy spot called Brood Awakening, just 2 blocks from her apartment. He sat 2 tables away, pretending to read a newspaper, but his glances were unmistakable. His face was gaunt, with deep-set eyes that seemed to pierce through her. Lisa's heart raced, but she didn't want to overreact. Maybe he just lived nearby. The incidents piled up. She saw him outside her grocery store, lingering near the entrance, and once near her school, watching from across the street as she walked students to the bus. Each time, he never approached, just stared, his expression unreadable. Lisa started varying her routine, taking different routes home, but he always seemed to find her. One night, around 2 a.m., Lisa woke to a faint tapping sound. At first, she thought it was the radiator, but it was rhythmic, deliberate. Her bedroom window faced a fire escape, and as she crept toward it, her heart pounding, she peeked through the blinds. There he was, his face pressed against the glass, grinning with a manic intensity. His eyes were wide, almost glowing in the moonlight, and he didn't move, just stared. Lisa screamed, stumbling back, and fumbled for her phone to call 911. By the time the police arrived, he was gone, leaving only smudged fingerprints on the glass. The police took her statement, but without a clear description or evidence, they could only file a report. The next morning, Lisa found a folded note slipped under her door. In jagged handwriting, it read, "I see you when you sleep." Her stomach She installed a deadbolt and a security camera, but the fear was unbearable. She decided to move, packing her things and relocating to a new apartment across town. Weeks later, settled in her new place, Lisa thought she'd escaped. But one evening, a package arrived with no return address. Inside was a grainy photo of her new apartment building, taken from across the street. With a note, "I found you." Lisa's hands shook as she called the police again, but they found no trace of the sender. To this day, Lisa lives with constant vigilance, her dog barking at every shadow. Sometimes, late at night, she swears she sees a figure outside her window, watching, waiting. Let's take a moment to process that. Imagine feeling eyes on you, even in your own home. Have you ever had a moment like that? Drop it in the comments. Up next, we head to Seattle for a story that'll make you rethink answering unknown calls. Our second tale takes us to the rainy streets of Seattle in 2023, where Mark, a 35-year-old software engineer, thought he was living a quiet life. Mark worked long hours at a tech startup, often coming home late to his modern townhouse in Capitol Hill. The neighborhood was lively, with coffee shops and bars, but his street was tucked away, lined with evergreens that cast long shadows at night. It started with a phone call at 1 a.m. Mark's phone buzzed, waking him from a deep sleep. The screen showed an unknown number, and when he answered, there was nothing but heavy breathing. He hung up, assuming it was a prank, but the calls kept coming every night, sometimes multiple times, always silent, except for that unsettling breathing. Mark blocked the numbers, but new ones kept appearing. One morning, feeling uneasy, Mark checked his front door camera footage. At 3:17 a.m., a figure stood on his porch, wearing a dark hoodie that obscured their face. They didn't move, just stared at the camera for nearly a minute before walking away. Mark's heart sank. He started checking the footage daily, and the figure appeared almost every night, always at odd hours, always watching. The calls took a darker turn. Voicemails began arriving, filled with distorted whispers. One said, "I know where you work," in a low, guttural tone. Another hissed, "I'm always watching." Mark's anxiety skyrocketed. He changed his phone number, but within days, the calls resumed on his new number. How did they get it? One evening, as Mark left his office, he noticed a hooded figure in the parking lot, standing under a streetlight, staring directly at him. It was the same silhouette from his camera footage. Mark's hands trembled as he got into his car, locking the doors and speeding away. The figure didn't follow, but the next morning, Mark found his car keyed with the word mine scratched into the driver's side door. Mark reported everything to the police, providing camera footage and voicemails, but the figure's face was never clear, and the calls were untraceable. Desperate, he moved back in with his parents in a nearby suburb, hoping to escape, but even there, he couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Late at night, he sometimes hears faint breathing, like an echo from his nightmares, and he wonders if his stalker is still out there, waiting for the right moment. That's chilling, isn't it? Who could be behind those calls? Share your theories below. Our final story takes us to New York City, where an artist's daily commute becomes a living nightmare. In 2024, Emily, a 29-year-old artist, was thriving in New York City's vibrant art scene. She lived in Brooklyn, commuting daily on the subway to her studio in Manhattan. The subway was a chaotic mix of sound screeching, trains, chattering, crowds, but Emily loved the energy. That is, until she noticed him. It started subtly. A man, always in the same subway car, sat a few seats away, reading a newspaper. He was unremarkable middle-aged, wearing a gray coat, but Emily felt his eyes on her, even when he seemed engrossed in his paper. She brushed it off as paranoia, but then she saw him on the platform, waiting for the same train, every day. Soon, he was following her off the train. He'd trail her through the crowded station, keeping a careful distance, his footsteps echoing behind her. Emily's stomach knotted each time she glanced back and saw him, his face half hidden by the newspaper. She started taking different trains, but he always found her, as if he knew her schedule. One night, after a late studio session, Emily returned home to find an envelope in her mailbox. Inside was a sketch of herself, drawn with eerie precision. Her curly hair, her favorite scarf, even the way she tilted her head. A note in neat handwriting read, "You're my muse." Her hand shook as she realized he'd been to her apartment. She called the police, but they said there was little they could do without more evidence. Terrified, Emily moved to a friend's apartment in Queens, hoping to disappear. She avoided her usual haunts, but weeks later, at a gallery opening for her latest exhibit, she froze. There he was, across the room, smiling at her. His gray coat was unmistakable, and his eyes locked onto hers, unblinking. Emily fled, calling the police, but he vanished into the crowd before they arrived. Now, Emily changes her routes daily, avoids public events, and carries pepper spray. She's stopped painting, too afraid to leave her friend's apartment. Yet, she still feels his gaze, like a weight on her back. And she wonders if he's still out there, sketching her every move. Wow, that's the kind of story that sticks with you. Have you ever felt followed like Emily? Share your experiences in the comments, and if you have a scary story of your own, send it to us. It might be featured next. Before we go, a quick word on staying safe from stalkers. Trust your instincts if something feels off. Don't ignore it. Document everything. Save messages, take photos, and keep a log of incidents. Report to the authorities, even if you're unsure. And consider reaching out to organizations like the Stalking Resource Center for support. Thanks for watching JoJo Horror. Like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon for more true horror stories. Until next time, stay vigilant, because you never know who's watching.